What's up guys, my name is Ace, and we finally got a little bit more gameplay footage of Battlefield 2042, and this was tweeted yesterday. By the time you're watching this video, this is a pre-recorded video, and I just wanted to go through and share all of my thoughts and opinions on this. And first up, let's start it off with the first operator they're showing off here, who is Webster McKay. This is a Canadian operator, and he's going to be designed more for flanking and assault, just getting right up in the enemy's face and pushing aggressively. And with this, he has the grappling hook, which will allow you to get up to those higher vantage points really quickly. And they also showed off a trait with him called Nimble, and this allows you to strafe faster while aiming down sight, which can be incredibly powerful in a gunfight if you're strafing back and forth to dodge shots. And it allows you to be more agile while using zip lines. Personally, this one appeals to me quite a bit. First up, because I'm Canadian myself, but also mainly I like being aggressive in FPS games, and I just love the idea of not only strafing faster while aiming down sight in gunfights, but also using that grapple hook to get up to high vantage points quickly to either take out campers that are sitting on rooftops, or just to get that vantage point to pick off a few kills before moving on. But next up for operators, we have Maria Felch. She's German, and with this, her specialty is the S21 Surette pistol, which allows you to heal your teammates from a distance by shooting them with this dart, and you can also use it to heal yourself quickly. Apparently, according to the community manager, they initially had it so you could also revive teammates with this dart from a distance, but they have since made an adjustment to that, so you won't be able to revive them from a distance, just heal them. But on top of this, she does have a trait called Combat Surgeon, which allows you to revive fallen teammates using a defibrillator. Now, when it comes to this operator, I think she's going to be one of the more popular options because having somebody on the team or a squad constantly shooting you with those darts from a distance to initiate quick heals, that's going to be very powerful if you're working together as a squad. And also, people like to heal themselves very quickly. So, like I said, I think she's definitely going to be one of the more popular options out there. But next up, we have Boris. He is the Russian operator here, and with this, his specialty is the sentry system. So it's a little sentry gun that he can go and place down, and it will automatically spot and engage enemy players. As for his trait, it's called Sentry Operator, and this just makes it so if he stands near the vicinity of that sentry turret that he's placed, it will make it work more effectively. Presumably, it'll make it so it locks onto targets faster, or who knows, maybe it has a higher fire rate or deals more damage. We don't really know, we just know that it makes it more effective if he stands near it. Honestly, I don't really see him being overly popular in this game. But finally, for the operators they're showing off in this little trailer, we've got Casper, who is a South African operator, and he's a recon-style operator, and his specialty is a recon drone that he can call in, which will disrupt enemy electronics, and you can also use it to reveal enemy positions. As for his trait, this one's fairly interesting. This is a built-in motion sensor that he's got, so if somebody is sneaking up behind you, you can see right on the bottom of the screen there in this clip, there's a little indicator that just lets you know somebody's coming up behind you. So it's that little bit of information basically telling you to turn around because there's an enemy behind you. And this is clearly designed for those snipers out there that are basically just going to be sitting in one spot trying to pick people off. So there we have it. There's sort of a run through of the operators that they showed off and their specialties and traits. Now I want to talk a little bit more about some of the other things that I noticed throughout this, more general things that I noticed, and I wanted to share my opinions on this. The first thing is a third-person execution. And this is something I've seen a lot of Battlefield players talking about as something they don't like. They prefer the first-person animation when it comes to those executions. Unfortunately for them, it's likely the third-person animation is here to stay, since it's very likely they're going to be monetizing third-person executions, and therefore I see them sort of forcing this on the Battlefield player base. I personally don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't really care that much, but I recognize the fact that many Battlefield players prefer the immersive first-person executions that they're used to. Next up, I just want to talk a little bit about the gunfights themselves. Since in the reveal trailer, it seemed like they did their best to hide any sort of a gunfight, whereas here we actually do see several gunfights take place. And the first thing I noticed is it looks like there's very little recoil, at least in the gunfights that we saw, which is interesting because Battlefield typically has like quite a bit more recoil than Call of Duty, for instance. But in these clips, this looks pretty Call of Duty-like to me. Like there's not a lot of recoil, it seems. And this also seems to be following suit with the general weapon handling. What I mean by this is from the perspective of a Call of Duty player that dabbles with Battlefield from time to time, every time I play Battlefield, I sort of feel like the weapons have more weight to them. It feels a little bit more on the clunkier side or the more realistic side, whereas Call of Duty is much more on the arcade side, where it feels like the guns don't really have much weight to them. Everything's really fast and snappy. Based on the gunfights we're seeing here, this looks much more arcade-like, much more Call of Duty-like than Battlefield. And I think this might be Battlefield's way of trying to branch out and appeal to a wider audience outside of the Battlefield franchise. And honestly, I do think this is going to be a good thing for Call of Duty players that are looking to make that transition into Battlefield. I think this is going to make that transition a little bit easier for them. But I'm not too sure how the OG Battlefield fans think about this. I'm sure there's a lot of OG fans out there that are not happy with the looks of these gunfights. But the final thing I wanted to mention about gunfights that I noticed while watching this is it seems like there is very little feedback when you actually get a kill. All I can really see here is on the bottom right, it pops up that you've killed an enemy, and then also sometimes the name of that enemy will pop up toward the center of the screen, but it's just a name in plain text, and it doesn't seem to appear with every gunfight that the player is winning. Perhaps this is due to the fact that it's an assist or something, but also on top of this while watching, I didn't really hear a distinctive sound that lets you know that you have killed that enemy player. So for me at least, I just would like to see some better feedback when you get a kill, a really distinctive sound when you get a kill, as well as something that's better than just some plain text popping up with a name next to it. Something like Battlefield 5, they had the skulls that would appear every time you got a kill. That way when you're getting multiple kills as well, you can see how they stack up. I think that looks really cool, and it's not just about the looks and that information so that you know when to move on to your next gunfight. It's also about the satisfying feeling of getting kills. Well, watching this, it didn't really look all that satisfying to finish a kill off. Whereas in other FPS games where they have a really distinctive sound or a different hit marker or some kind of visual feedback that's super distinctive, as silly as it might sound, that actually contributes to releasing dopamine when you get that kill, and it makes the kill feel more satisfying. So I hope we see something done to the kill feedback here as well. And I do think that what we're seeing here is mainly just due to the fact that this is early development. But finally in this video, there's one last topic I wanted to talk about, and this is the graphics. This is another thing I've been sort of surfing around to see what the general reaction is to this, and a lot of people seem to be quite disappointed with the looks of the graphics in this game. And when you pause the gameplay here or there, things look nice and clear, the lighting looks great. However, one thing I noticed is compared to a lot of recent games that have come out, there isn't much clutter on these maps. It seems like things are really stripped down and basic. You don't have all kinds of clutter and stuff all over the place. Things look very clean and simple. And in some ways, I actually really like this. I feel like a lot of modern FPS games take things way too far, trying to show off their graphics, their realism, and what their engine is capable of rendering and handling at once. But in doing so, it makes everything look very cluttered. And I feel like if you make things too cluttered, it can take away from the gameplay experience. So in some ways, I really like that. I don't feel like I'm going to be straining my eyes too hard trying to spot enemy players. And to me, at least to some extent, that's a good thing. And that's something I've missed about older FPS titles where the games simply weren't capable of handling too much clutter. Having said this though, if you do pause at certain intervals throughout this trailer, and hone in on some specific textures in the environment, like on the walls, for instance. I'm not talking about the character models that you see in game or the weapons that you see in the hand of the person that's currently using them. I think that looks great. I'm talking about various textures in the environment. I see what people are saying when it comes to that. A lot of these textures look way too basic and stripped down, and they don't look like a modern FPS game. And so with this, I'm just hoping this is due to the fact that this is still early development and this isn't what we're going to be seeing in the final build when it comes to a lot of these textures. And I have actually seen a few people talking about this. Apparently, these exact pieces of footage were shared a while back behind the scenes to some people. And therefore, I'm hoping what we're seeing here is just an older build of the game, and there will be some improvement coming to a lot of the textures that we're seeing in the environment. I also just wanted to make a quick note, they still haven't really shown off much destruction in Battlefield 2042. I'm sure it's going to be there, but we don't really know to what extent we're going to be seeing that at this point. But with that, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover and talk about in today's video about this particular trailer that launched. Of course, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts and feelings on Battlefield 2042 based on what we've seen with this little trailer? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.